Welcome one and all to episode 6 of the Kakariko Road Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Petter, and with me, as always, I've got my two co-hosts, Chase.
Hi.
And Steven.
Hello.
The topic in today's episode is remaking Zelda games. It's sort of a wide topic in a way, a broad topic. We're going to be talking a little bit about already existing remakes, I suppose, briefly. But I feel like most of the discussion is probably going to be spent on talking about what we would like to see, which games we would like to see remade. But I think to start off, I think it would be nice to just take a look at what we've gotten in forms of remakes, like from Nintendo in the past. Mm-hmm. And I also, before we get too delved into the discussion, the reason why we're having this topic today is because 2 episodes ago, we were talking about the newly announced, well, maybe not super newly announced still, but
recently.
Yeah, kind of recently announced Link's Awakening remake. And you know, Zelda remakes being, a hot topic, we thought we would, spin on some more about that. And in the episode 2 weeks ago, we talked about that Link's Awakening DX was the first remade Zelda game.
I believe you're right.
Then we had other games like Link to the Past kind of was remade on the Game Boy Advance, I guess.
Sure.
I mean, so I think there's a difference between a remake and a remaster.
I was going to say, because for Wind Waker and Twilight Princess on the Wii U, I would consider those remasters.
Precisely.
Yeah, there were slight additions, but not really anything huge.
Right, yeah, not enough to make it a remake, I don't think.
For the Link's Awakening remake, it's a completely new art style, for example.
Right, and a completely new engine and everything. Like, the graphics, everything is very different. Mm-hmm. So that's absolutely a remake.
Yes.
But I agree that Twilight Princess HD and Wind Waker HD are more like remasters. And I would even say the same, actually, personally, for the Ocarina of Time 3D and Majora's Mask 3D.
I agree as well.
Sure,
it's still the
A Link
exact
to the Past to GBA, I think, would be an actual remake, seeing as how it's... Yeah.
Well, I'm not
sure. It added in... okay, go ahead.
It added one last extra, dungeon that was optional. Similarly to Link's Awakening DX. I think I would call those both the Link to the Past and the Link's Awakening DX remakes. I think I'd call those remasters. Probably.
Okay. Twilight Princess HD did the same, where if you got the Wolf Link amiibo and you used it on the Wii U version, you get the Cave of Shadows, I believe it was called.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Cave of Shadows. But no, Cave of Trials is Wind Waker, isn't it?
I think so. Cave of Ordeals is
that's it.
The Twilight Princess one.
Yeah.
And then you get Cave of Shadows for the Wolf Link amiibo.
Right. But, so I think whether or not it's a remake or a remaster, I think it's probably opinion-based to a degree. Maybe you guys don't agree with me that Link's Awakening DX is a remaster more so than a remake.
I do. I think so.
Alright, cool.
Yeah, definitely. There's only so much you could really change when you're moving from the Game Boy to the Game Boy Color.
Yeah, and similarly with Four Swords Anniversary Edition on the 3DS, I think is also more of a remaster.
Yeah, I mean...
Very slightly, though.
Did they even change the graphics from the original game?
I don't think that was changed at all. The only thing, as far as I'm aware, that was changed was that it was possible in the remaster, or in the remake, or whatever you want to call it, to play it single player. It was possible.
There was also the additions of the maps that reference back to older Zelda games.
Ah, got it.
Oh, yeah, that was
the
in the
original. Yeah.
I
Whatever
didn't know
that was
that Four Swords got a 3DS port.
No,
Yeah.
It wasn't 3DS, it was DSi.
No, it was
Oh,
it came for
DS,
both.
okay.
It came for 3DS as well.
Did it come for 3DS?
Yeah, I have it on my 3DS. I don't have a DSi.
That was before the 3DS was a thing.
I mean, you can play regular DS games on 3DS.
I guess that's true, but it was also a digital download only game. And actually, it was only for a limited time, too.
Precisely.
Oh, So it was the DS version for like Virtual Console. On
Sort of.
3DS?
Yeah, it was.
It was.
so
It was
free.
DSi aware is the technical term.
It was a gift for a limited
I
time.
see.
Yeah, it was like
see, I see.
celebrating an anniversary or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as far as I'm aware, the only thing it added, besides a few more maps, although being very brief maps, like the big thing in my opinion was the possibility of playing it single player, because you couldn't do that before. But I think like out of the remakes that we've gotten so far, not counting Link's Awakening, because that like the one that's coming this year, because that's definitely going to be a remake, a proper remake.
We haven't gotten it yet, so it doesn't count.
Precisely, but out of the ones that we've gotten, I think all of the ones have actually been more remasters.
It's
Except,
very much a thing for most video games.
We haven't really gotten full on remakes.
well, I was
all
gonna,
that often.
I was gonna say, I think we might have one that I would consider an actual remake so far.
Outside of
Yeah, 'cause-
Link's Awakening?
Yeah,
What do you got?
Ocarina of Time Master Quest.
That's not a remake.
No, it's not.
The dungeons
I'm
are
sorry.
completely remade, though. All
Well,
dungeons
it's not
are
meant
remade.
to be a remake of the original game. It's meant to be a hard mode of the original game.
True, but it's a remade mode.
It's
That does not at all count, and you know it.
It's retooled to make it harder.
Yeah,
Everybody,
I guess.
I don't actually know if Petter has a Twitter or not, but if he does, go spam him with "That is not a remake," because it is not a remake.
I'm not on Twitter.
God damn it!
I still need to make a Kakariko Road Twitter.
Hey,
And then
yeah,
I'll
we
give,
should totally
Petter
do that.
access to it.
Yeah.
And then, you guys can all spam Petter on Twitter.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the
Although,
description.
no, you'll be spamming all three of us simultaneously, but
Yeah, I'll pull you down with me.
I'll drag you down with me.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess those are all the remasters that we've gotten. Yeah, it's funny, we haven't really got any proper remakes. Unless you want to consider Ocarina of Time Master Quest that, but I guess you guys didn't.
No,
you're
not
on
at
your
all.
own on that one. I'm sorry.
Well,
I guess this isn't really a video game podcast, but we could discuss how many actual remakes versus remasters are there.
in the world?
Well, just let's not focus on that actually. But
That's
it
a
is
really
very
big
much
one.
Just like,
it's very much more common for remasters than remakes, just in general.
are you
Yeah.
talking about just the general video game market?
Yeah, or even just within Nintendo.
I mean, we just had Resident Evil 2.
Uh-huh.
Resident Evil 2 remake. What
Fire
else?
Emblem Echoes.
But wasn't that Resident Evil game called Resident Evil 2 Remastered? Isn't that the title of the game?
He's got you there.
Remake. But,
I agree. It's definitely a remake, but I think it's called remastered, or unless I'm
Yep.
mistaken.
Here's a better question. Do most people consider there to be a difference between a remake and a remaster?
I don't know. It's
I would say, like, for example, in Twilight Princess, it had a better resolution, and it got rid of the trademark fog effect from the GameCube and Wii.
yeah.
So I would consider that a remaster.
Yeah. Then there's the
let's
term re-release. That's more like for the virtual console, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then there's
Yeah,
ports.
a re-release that doesn't... Yeah, a re-release and a port are virtually the same thing.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've had Crash, we've had Spyro.
I think I'd consider Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire remakes proper.
I'm going to say all the Pokemon remakes are remakes. All the Fire Emblem remakes
they
are
are.
remakes.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Yes, they are.
Let's say we look at the Mario remakes.
Which are there? Oh, I guess Super Mario 64 DS.
Actually, I guess Super Mario 64 DS would definitely be a remake.
Yeah, it's got enough.
And then I was more thinking
sure.
the Super Mario Advance series.
I also think that the Mario and Luigi games, to a degree, are remakes.
I haven't played the remakes for those, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not very well versed in those, personally.
So what Zelda games do you guys think deserve a full remake in the
Adventures
vein
of
of like
Link.
a Link's Awakening?
I heard Chase say Adventures of Link.
You heard me say the thing that just about everybody who listened to more than one episode of this podcast are going to know I was going to say.
Yeah.
That game definitely needs remade. I think that with more modern platformer elements, it could be a lot
What
more
game?
bearable.
Zelda 2?
Yes.
Sure. if Nintendo wants to go back there.
They're not going to do it, but
No,
they should.
they're not. But Nintendo are the kings of left field, so who knows?
I mean, that's true.
Yeah. Anything can happen at Nintendo.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you know, if they haven't gone back and even tried to remake or remaster Zelda 1, they're never going to touch Zelda 2.
Yeah, that's true. Although, why would you remake Zelda 1?
Remake Zelda 1 in the Breath of the Wild engine.
Yeah, you know, I was actually gonna bring that up. Sort of that.
That'd be interesting.
Actually, when they first started talking about Breath of the Wild early on, I was wondering if it was going to be a pseudo remake of Zelda 1.
I mean,
'Cause they were definitely
it's a
trying to draw a lot of parallels.
spiritual remake in a way.
It very much is, and now I want them to do an actual remake.
Yeah, and I was planning on talking about that actually. Like, if they're gonna remake the like any of the very old games, such as the very first or A Link to the Past, I would want to see those remade, not just as a top-down like they're doing Link's Awakening now. I would like to see them remade in a full 3D world.
I would actually rule Link to the Past out because of Link Between Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
And definitely,
Like
I think if you're going to do that, just Zelda 1 is the only game I think that could work for.
I suppose that's a good point with A Link Between Worlds being a sort of a remake-ish.
Well, if they partner with the guy who's been doing the Unreal 4 version of Ocarina of Time, they could do that. But, you know, they're not going to publish a fan-made game.
I don't think so. No.
More likely what they do is, as he kind of suggested right there, just remake it in the Link Between Worlds style. Which would be great. People would love that. People would buy the hell out of that.
They would.
Although I would really like a Unreal 4 Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. That'd be nice.
Like one game that has both of those games in it.
No, I'm just saying, just in general, have Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask be made in Unreal 4.
Yeah, or something like of the same caliber. Yeah.
Yeah. The problem being, the only two games that were made with Unreal 4 on the Switch are Yoshi's Woolly World, that's having, you know, according to Digital Foundry, it's having a lot of resolution issues, and Octopath Traveler, which is not... It's an Unreal 4 game, but it doesn't use the full spectrum.
Yeah, it doesn't
of Unreal
look
4.
like Unreal.
Yeah, it looks like RPG Maker or something.
Outside of the lighting and particle effects, that's about it, really.
Yeah, true.
I didn't even know that Octopath was Unreal, so that's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, and they used like some of the physics stuff in Octopath Traveler, like the way that flags moved and stuff like that, but it wasn't like a full-on, because it was all pixelated, it wasn't a full-on Unreal Engine 4 game.
That makes sense.
For the common, like, way you would think, or like, when you think of Unreal 4, you don't really think of Octopath Traveler.
You really don't.
So yeah, if any games were remade in the Zelda series, I would say remake them in Unreal 4 or in one of their in-house engines, like the one that they're using for, well, for one, Link's Awakening, and two, the 3DS games.
Or Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, that too. Their in-house engine that Nintendo and Monolith used for Breath of the Wild as well.
Mm.
But if they wanted to do top-down games that don't look like clay, they could try to improve on the engine that they used for the 3DS games.
Certainly.
Yeah, I think definitely go for the 3DS games type thing over the Unreal Engine. In my opinion, at least.
Yeah, but if... Well, here's a good question. Would you rather have the engine for Breath of the Wild, or would you have Unreal 4, but don't, like, it's specifically 3D, not top-down?
Specifically 3D?
Mm-hmm.
Breath of the Wild, easily. I love that engine.
I would prefer generally the Unreal Engine, but specifically for that Zelda 1 remake, just because of how similar the two games are, is why I'm suggesting Breath of the Wild Engine.
Yeah.
Only for that one specific game.
I actually don't know if... I doubt it. I'm going to try and look up really quick if the same engine Monolith and Nintendo used for Breath of the Wild is the same one for Xenoblade 2. I'm just curious.
I mean, that would make sense. I could totally see it.
Yeah, because they worked on both games at the same time.
Do you guys like remakes?
Yeah. I think it's a great way to bring back older games that people may not necessarily have played and that are generally...
I mean, I will go and play Resident Evil 2 Remake at some point. I own it, and I know it's very good, and I've never played Resident Evil 2 before. So
Right.
I'll probably play it at some point.
Yeah, see, it's definitely got a perk in that regard, like being something that will reintroduce like new audience to a franchise.
Very much, there are people who won't play older games specifically because they are older games.
True.
And for a lot of these games, they're just masterpieces that could really use to be remade just so people can experience them.
That is a solid point.
Like, no one's gonna want to go back after Link's Awakening remake gets released. No one's gonna want to go back and play DX on their DSs.
Unless they hate Link's new face.
In which case,
Unless they hate looking at.
I mean, I hate Link's new face, but I'm going to play that one anyways.
Yeah.
Actually, do we know what engine Link's Awakening uses?
Like the original Link's Awakening or the remake?
The remake.
I don't know too much
Link's
about those things.
Googling.
In the meantime, I
Yeah.
can mention that if I remember correctly, Oracle of Ages was originally supposed to be a remake of the original Legend of Zelda game.
Really?
Interesting.
If I remember correctly. But then they got the idea of making several games out of it and changing up like with extra gimmicks.
How many times has this happened for the Zelda series?
and it's evident as well. A lot of the dungeons and bosses in Oracle of Ages are the same ones as in the original Legend of Zelda.
Okay, so it's looking like the Link's Awakening remake is in like a new engine.
Yeah. Oh, it's in-house? Probably.
I think Nintendo does mostly that, or at least for Zelda.
Yeah, I think generally Nintendo uses their in-house engines,
Pretty sure,
which
yeah.
makes sense. Nintendo is very much an in-house company.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So my view on remakes, besides like I agree with you guys on like it's good in the sense that it can introduce new people to the franchise, but
New generation.
as a and kind of an old school Zelda fan, like having owning all the games and having played all of them and beaten all of them, but the second one and all that, I'm not overly keen on Nintendo spending time on making remakes as opposed to new games, I suppose. So I kind of prefer getting a brand new game instead. However, I think the scenarios where I would be the most excited for a remake would be if they made the remake very very much a different thing compared to the original. Such as from what I mentioned earlier, like for example, taking the original Legend of Zelda and making it a gigantic open world 3D game. Something like that would get me super excited.
In the style of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, similar to that. Like maybe not a copy. Like maybe it would have its own gimmicks and stuff like that, but still, like the same scale of Breath of the Wild. Like something like that. Make the original game into something like that. And hey, take it one step further. Combine the original Legend of Zelda and Zelda 2: The Adventures of Link, or the Adventure of Link. That's singular. And make those into one game together, because they're the same Link, the same
I
guy.
am just having a hard time, like, out of any game, imagining Zelda 2. Like, I can imagine most other games in the Breath of the Wild style, but Zelda 2 is the only one I just can't.
What's that?
Just because Zelda 2 is already so different, and changing it up like that is almost completely erasing its identity.
Taking both the original Legend of Zelda and the Adventure of Link and changing both of them into something that's very different from both of them, making both of them into 3D
But
gameplay.
I'm not... But at the same time, you're making them similar to each other into Breath of the Wild. Now, for Zelda 1, I've gone over my reasons why that makes sense, but Zelda 2 is so remembered for what it is and how different it is that I don't think it can be remade in a way that's similar to any other game.
I'm trying to think of another game that got remade to a completely different gameplay style. But I can't think of one off the top of my head. I'd have to give it a lot of thought.
I don't think it's happened before, at least not to my knowledge.
No.
Oh, I'm sure it has. It's just like
right.
Once or twice. Nothing, frequent.
Not that I know of.
Spyro and Crash.
I mean, like we said, a lot of the remakes that come out are more remasters than full-on remakes.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But imagine a game that is both the original Zelda and Zelda 2. Like, the title is obvious, too. The title would be The Legend of Zelda, The Adventure of Link. It's, super easy. And like, the midpoint of the game is beating Ganon as the last fight of the original game. And then you think, oh, I'm gonna beat the game. But no. Ganon's minions are gonna resurrect him, so you gotta deal with them now. And it's all in the same huge world. Like, constantly the same huge world in both of these
I mean,
like,
I guess
sections
the
of the
one
game.
reason that I could say that might make sense is because the Zelda 1 map is actually a portion of the Zelda 2 map.
Precisely.
But at the same
There you
time,
go.
that would also mean you really shouldn't make this, halfway through the game. Because then you'd be massively cutting down Zelda 2.
Okay, maybe not
Because
halfway,
the scale
but
of the Zelda 2 map is so much larger. If anything, like, the prologue would have to be Zelda 1 and then the rest of the game Zelda 2. Just
yeah, make
in
it something like
comparison
that.
for the scale.
I'm open for suggestions.
But then if you're doing that, then you're really massively, getting rid of a lot of Zelda 1.
Okay, so I have an idea. In
Yeah.
the same way that they made, I don't want to call it like a tech demo, but before they made Breath of the Wild, the developers made like a Zelda 1 style demo. So I believe they could do a Zelda 1 map in the Breath of the Wild engine. I believe that's possible.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, that's one of the greatest, probably unreleased games of all time, is Breath of the Wild in the Zelda 1 style.
I mean, I don't think they did a full-on
I mean,
map.
probably not, but they
No.
totally could have, and it would have been amazing.
Star Fox 2 all over again. We'll get it like 10 years down the line. Although we've waited a lot more for Star Fox 2, but
Yeah, that was like 20 years.
yeah.
Maybe 25.
So what games do you guys think deserve a remake? What Zelda games right now deserve
I mean, we talked a lot about the original 4, so let's spread out the stuff that's Ocarina of Time and beyond. Any of the 3D, or maybe not 3D, but any of those later games that haven't got a remake, or have got a remake, but the remake didn't cover everything.
Cause I'm just like I want to continue to say that I'm gonna rule Wind Waker and Twilight Princess out because they've already gotten re-releases to a degree.
Yeah.
Yes, Avs have Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
I would like, mainly because I wouldn't be able to play the original anyway, I would like a Skyward Sword remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So-
definitely not an unpopular opinion. A lot of people have been asking for that.
Which is surprising
Yeah.
to me because it wasn't that loved of a game, all in all. Like, compared to the other games, it's not very loved.
And I would consider it a remake if they upgraded the visuals and they heavily changed the combat.
Oh yes, the combat would definitely need to be changed.
Yeah, because that's the whole idea behind the remake is changing the combat system.
Remake it in the Breath of the Wild engine.
Make everything in the Breath of the Wild engine. I love that
Yeah,
engine.
you seem to be really
That
pulling
would make
for
the
this.
whole Zelda series so samey, though.
I guess, yeah, and obviously that's not exactly what I want. I'm just, I'm exaggerating. But
Well, I mean, a game engine does not. Same thing goes for Unreal 4 and Octopath Traveler. The game engine does not determine the art style of the game.
that is very true.
Yeah, that's true. But when we say in the engine of Breath of the Wild, we basically mean in the style. Because that's more what we are going for, arguably.
Not necessarily the same art style.
If it was just in the engine of Breath of the Wild, it could be almost anything.
I suppose so, but it's a very well created engine. That's mostly like what I mean.
You're not wrong.
It's got very nice attention to detail in a lot of aspects, like a lot of like gimmick things. But a Skyward Sword remake, on the Switch, for example, and I think it would make sense it would be fitting for it to release in 2021, being the 10th anniversary of Skyward Sword, and with it, obviously the option of playing it with the original motion controls will still exist because you could play it with one Joy-Con in each hand. However, there also has to be the option to play it without motion controls.
Yes.
And thus you use the right joystick to swing the sword in various directions, and maybe like just push in the joystick to do a stab. It would work so well. It would be super easy to do that. All of the sword moves could be done with the joystick.
I feel like it might feel a little awkward, but I guess I haven't really tried it that much either, so I can't really speak.
Yeah, because I feel like it needs more than just a B button for the sword, like in Skyward Sword in particular, because it's such a sword-heavy game.
Yeah, fair.
So I think the joystick would, be able to fill out all those options. And, in the original game, there isn't control of the camera anyway, so we could use the right joystick for that. Well, there is control of the camera with the L button, of course, but like not like a free roaming camera like with a joystick. But yeah, that's just an idea I've had for how to solve and for how to make Skyward Sword like a button game.
Sure. So I'm just trying to confirm what I've read. I've gone to a couple links, and yeah, including this Wikipedia. Okay, so basically, Breath of the Wild used the Havoc game engine.
Okay.
So it's a well-established engine. It was not in-house.
I see.
I'm not sure if Xenoblade 2 did the same. But let me check this list. No, it doesn't look like Xenoblade 2 was the same, even though Monolith Soft worked on Breath of the Wild. Okay, well, now we know.
Right. Yeah. Something actually, by the way, speaking of the remakes that we've gotten and that we might want new remakes of, I think Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask got their 3DS remakes or remasters, what have you.
Remasters, yeah.
However, I think that like making them on the 3DS didn't do them justice in a way, because like sure, the 3DS makes them look, a little bit better than they did on the N64 for sure, but putting them on a stationary console would make them look even better beyond that. And I think that would, graphics wise anyway, that would be a very nice treat. And why not give them new like upgraded soundtracks as well? Because they use the exact same sounds in the 3DS versions. Like, why not redo all of that as well?
Yeah, you're right.
That would be lovely.
If you take a look at how good some of those remixes and reorchestrations for Smash are,
Precisely.
I would love that.
Exactly, I would love that. Like, I remember being very disappointed when Ocarina of Time 3D came out, because I was expecting there to be, new instrumentations of the songs and new sound effects for the sounds.
And Link's Awakening remake will probably have a new soundtrack.
I'm fairly certain. Like, yeah, with these new visuals.
I wouldn't see why it wouldn't.
Yeah, because it's not just a as we said before, it's not just a remaster. It is a full-on remake. I think we can agree on.
Yes.
Because the art style is completely remade, and because with Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, they didn't change the art style really. They just made the graphics look more modern.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It made it easier to
more
put off your boots.
Oh yeah, that as well.
Which is a very important change.
Certainly.
It really was.
We have Wind Waker to thank for that.
It sounds like a stupid change, but it was so important.
How about remakes of Phantom Hourglass or Spirit Tracks?
That could be nice.
Ooh.
As somebody who enjoys those games will recognize that they are very flawed.
That's a good idea.
I adore Spirit Tracks. Like, it's a phenomenal game in my opinion. I'd love to see that remade. But if they remade it, I want them to make big changes. Similarly, as I said earlier, like maybe make it an open world game. Like
I think Spirit Tracks is an easier game to remake than Phantom Hourglass.
I agree.
Due to the way the gameplay was spaced out, you had the traditional top-down Zelda, and you also had the train. So, you also had a lot of good puzzles in that one too.
I agree. Yeah, the dungeons were really nice, and the music was.
Yeah, if they were going to remake the Phantom Hourglass, they would need to do something more with that boat part, like with everything related to the ocean and the boat.
I think so. Yeah.
And I just don't know what you could do to make that more interesting.
Yeah, it could be fun though. I mean, imagine Phantom Hourglass with the graphics of Wind Waker HD.
That would be great.
Yeah, that might be something. Just making it so much more beautiful.
Isn't that pretty hot? That's pretty hot.
That would be great.
Yeah, man, now I want that. And like, don't make it like this, like 2.5D, or people call it 2.5D. These two games, the DS games,
Isometric.
Make it, yeah, like it's because it is sort of 3D because it like there are 3 dimensions. There are levels and stuff.
Yeah, there's 3-dimensional models, and it does move in 3D.
I would like if Nintendo tried to do what Game Freak is doing with the newer Pokemon games and try to have a fixed and maybe movable camera. Like what's happening with Pokemon these days.
Yeah.
It's not quite over the shoulder. It's still an overhead view, but it's not completely a bird's eye view, right?
Right.
You mean 2.5D?
Well, still, like, the camera moves a lot in the new Pokemon games.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. I think I always prefer, like, just overall 3D with a movable camera, free camera. Like, I think that's what I'll always prefer over everything else. But, it's definitely nice, with a change of pace, like, different things. But
Sure.
So do you have any other ideas for games you want to see remade?
No, I think I'm done. Although, maybe... Here's a question. If Four Swords got a remake, wouldn't fans just consider it to be a sequel?
Why would they consider it to be a sequel?
Because it would have... Well, I don't know. I was just thinking of, like...
It would have the same story,
Same story, but the environments would be different. I don't
know how that
just
would
thought.
come to be a sequel.
I don't know, because the environments would be changed, because I think the game would be changed a lot. But if you're right, if it has the same story and same environment motifs,
if we're going to talk about it like that, let's talk about Metroid Zero Mission, which completely overhauled the original Metroid's map. Like, just 100% changed it up. Well, not 100%.
Let's say a spiritual sequel.
Large portions of it. But people still recognize Zero Mission as a remake instead of a spiritual sequel or a sequel or anything. Despite how different the map is and how much they added and everything.
True. And Samus Returns kind of revitalized the whole 2D Samus playthrough. People really want a sequel to that. I still need to play that too.
Yeah, I need to get around to that eventually as well.
But yeah, I don't think I have any other ideas. What about you guys?
I think that pretty much covers it for me.
Yeah, I think I mentioned all of mine as well, except for I really want a remake of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, actually.
Wait, what?
No, not just kidding.
I was going to say, hold on a second.
This is a joke from when you were out getting your coffee or soda or whatever you were getting. Caffeinate yourself.
Before we started recording, yeah. No, yeah, the game's been out for 2 years only, so no, definitely not. But I felt I had to make the joke because I love that game.
You do.
But no remake for me, thank you. As I said before, over everything else, I just want new original games. Like, personally. I don't mind the remakes, I guess, but I'd rather they spend their time on making new games.
Do you think that they're working on a pseudo-sequel to Breath of the Wild? Because there is no
doubt,
hard sequel to Zelda games. Do you think they're making a full-scale console Zelda game other than Link's Awakening right now?
I think so. I think they have another team.
Because they did say that they're done with the yearly release. Of course.
Yeah, but there's never been a yearly, like, at least not as far as, like, new games have never come out yearly, or not very much anyway.
I think the 3DS.
Yeah, like, a couple times we've had them come out, like, after each other, but like, a lot of the time, lately especially, we've waited a long time between games, Yeah,
sure, like, big, full-fledged console releases. Cause
like, especially those.
It took a long while for Breath of the Wild to come out.
Yeah, like, after Skyward Sword, it took 6 years for them to come out with Breath of the Wild.
And not a lot of people like Skyward Sword.
Just probably because of how different Breath of the Wild is from any Zelda game before it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it did take Nintendo a long time to get on fans' good graces again in regards to Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
And console Zelda games.
Yet somehow the fans still want a remake of Skyward Sword.
I mean, hey, I'd play it as long as the controls aren't, based off of motion controls all the time.
Precisely, yeah, absolutely. I do think they're working on a new like full-on 3D open world Zelda game. I do think they are, but they're hopefully they're taking their time with it and they're not rushing it, stressing it. But I do think they're working on it. They have another team working on that. I'm fairly certain.
Yeah, no doubt.
Do you think? Okay, so Capcom. I actually don't know if this is true for Nintendo or not. It might be already, but Capcom has 2 separate teams, or used to have 2 separate teams for Monster Hunter. They had the 3D Monster Hunter team, and then the console Monster Hunter team was working on World this whole time, but I think the 2 merged together.
I always imagined that Zelda was doing something similar, where they had the one team that worked on the 3D games, the one team that worked on the 2D games.
Yeah, and I'm still thinking that they would do that, which would probably mean that it's almost a guarantee that they are making a full-fledged console 3D Zelda game right now.
Yeah, I'm hoping for it, and I'm hoping for the same scale. Actually, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna get into that now. However, next week we're gonna be talking about. No, actually, not next week, but in 2 weeks.
Eventually.
In 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about main series Zelda games that we want to see. Like, ideas and, like, dream main series Zelda games. So, I'm going to be talking about it then, in 2 weeks. Next week, we're going to be talking about dream spin-off Zelda games. So, you should be looking forward to that, hopefully, if you're interested in hearing about, like, our opinions on spin-off Zelda games and what we want to see on that front. It's, as for that, it could be pretty much anything, so we can go pretty out there. But yeah, I think we gotta end the episode here.
Probably.
Okay.
So thank you everyone so much for listening. Well, whoever does listen to this, and
there are people.
there's a few.
It turns out that our fans do in fact exist.
Yeah. Yay. So. We shall see you guys in a week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.